Welcome to Archery Talk 101 podcast, your guide to better archery skills. We'll bring you the latest tips, tricks, and expert advice, but that's not all. We'll also have interviews with top archers and industry professionals and reviews of the latest gear and equipment and much more. Hey, what's it
Okay,
like
got
to
it.
shoot archery over in South Africa? Well, today we're going to find out. Hi, my name is Roy Canterbury, and we host today on Archery Talk 101 and have Warrick on the line with us, and he's going to tell us about his archery journey and always some fantastic stories of bow hunting and archery in South Africa. Welcome to the show, Warrick.
Yes, thank you very much. Good to be on here. Um, so I'll just give a brief background on how I got into archery. Um, when I was a kid, probably like 3 years old, my parents bought me one of those little those plastic bow and arrows, and they had those arrows that had a a plunge on the end. And then as kids, we used to shoot them against the mirrors, and then the arrow would stick to the mirror. So the one day, I don't know why I did this because kids do funny things, but I took off the plunger. So the tip was like kind of sharp now. It wasn't like a soft tip. And then I was standing at the bottom of the passage down the hallway, and I called my mom from the TV room. And then as she walked into sight, I pulled the bow back, and then I shot, and I hit her right on the head there.
Oh,
And and she started bleeding. And then I'd like only noticed like afterwards that I'd done a bad thing, like a stupid thing. And then I got a hiding from my father. And then my parents confiscated the bow from me. And I was so young, I was like maybe 3.5, going on to 4 years old. But I was so obsessed with the bow that when my parents went to work the next day, I went to my dad's closet, and I took his shoelace out of his running shoes. And then I went to the garden and I chopped a stick from one of the trees. And I used my dad's shoelace as the bowstring. And that was the first bow I ever made. And ever since that, I just started making bows after bows after bows. And then throughout high school, I started making laminated bows. And then I just started like trial and error and carrying on making them. It became like an obsession for me. And I basically never ever ever stopped. Like some people go through hobbies and then it like lasts a few years and then they go on to something else. So I just kept at it because it was like a deep like passion that I had, and you can always grow as a bow maker. So you never really reach a part or like a stage where you can say you're the best you can be. You've always got room to improve. Um, and then also one of the reasons why I started making laminated bows is because I'm 6'6" tall, which is quite tall. So my draw length is 32 inches, and I could never find a bow for sale that would not stack at my draw length. Like they weren't smooth enough to draw all the way to 32 inches. So I started making my own bows and figuring out ways how to make them smoother so that people with like the longer draw lengths can also shoot bows, especially shorter bows, because I don't like shooting those very, very long bows, like 68-inch long bows. I prefer the shorter traditional bows, just also for hunting reasons, because um, they don't they because they're shorter, they don't get in the way, and you don't like bumping trees. It's easier to stalk with the shorter bow. So yeah, that's how basically I got into archery. Um, it was ever since like a young kid, um, and I've done quite a lot of hunting in my spare time here in South Africa. Most of it's been walk and stalk, but there have been like a few times where I was invited to farms, and we sat in bow blinds and we shot out the blinds.
there's interesting.
Yeah,
I know I've talked to these all that do hunt in Africa. They've got all kinds of different options for animals to hunt over there.
yeah. There's lots of species. I can just like name 20 off the top of my head, but there's even more. and that's just antelope.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
a lot of nice ones over. You got some nice hunting over there, that's for sure.
yeah. um, so then when I started uh, like making a lot of laminated bows, it became like quite an obsession where when I'd make one and finish it, I'd just shoot it a couple times and then immediately start the next one. And obviously, like with the materials you need to make a bow, it started becoming quite expensive.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine, he just said, well, you like making them so much, why don't you try sell a few so that you can buy more materials to make more? Um, and at the time, I was doing commercial diving. So I would go off and work offshore for about 3 months, but then I'd come home and have a 3 month break. So in those breaks, I would just get stuck into the workshop and obviously started spending a lot of money because I wasn't selling the bows. I was just like either giving them away as Christmas presents to like uncles or keeping a lot of them. So I had a friend. He said, "Why don't you just advertise in a bow hunting magazine here in South Africa, and then sell them and then buy more material?" So I did that. We have a bow hunting magazine here in South Africa called the Bow Hunter, and I put an ad in the magazine, and it almost became like my job as a commercial diver changed to my job as a bow maker literally overnight. I just started getting orders in, and then a lot of the customers, I had a lot of repeat customers. So like a guy would buy a bow and then he'd like it so much, he'd order another one from me, and like different poundage, different words. And then there's a guy, he's quite well known on YouTube. His name's Jim Grizzly Kent. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah, I have to look him up.
Okay, yeah, he lives in the UK, and he's got a YouTube channel, and he's got quite a few thousand followers. So me and him started chatting, and I said, because I saw he did a lot of reviews on bows. So I said, would you be interested in doing a review in one of my bows if I send you one? So he said, yes, sure. But he just wants to tell me before I send it that he's going to be dead honest, because he doesn't want to like fake that it's a nice bow and then people start buying them and then they complain to him. So he said when he receives it, he's just going to be like thoroughly honest. And if he doesn't like the bow, then he won't make the review because he doesn't want to say anything bad. So I said, yeah, we can make that deal. And then I sent it to him. And then he just, the first thing he sent me was he had shot his 3 first arrows, and all 3 of them were in like the kill zone on those 3D targets. And then it took about a month or 2, and then he made a review on the bow, and it was a very nice review. I can also send it to you. And then a lot of American people and also from like Australia, basically all over the world, started ordering bows from me. So it wasn't, I was only selling in South Africa, now I was selling worldwide. And that kind of like took my business off as a custom bow maker. And now I'd say 95% of the orders that I get all go to the USA.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah.
if they wanted to order one from you, how would they get a hold of you?
Most of them order through Facebook. I've got a Facebook page, and that's called Harvey Archery. And so it's my surname, which is Harvey, and then Archery. I've also got a website, but the website is just for you to like read up on the different bow models and that. But everyone orders through Facebook, or like email. Because I find through like Facebook or email, you get to chat one-on-one with me, and that makes the like the build of the bow much more customized and personal.
Yeah, it does when you can do it that way. Let's see.
Yeah.
I'm quiet here because I'm actually looking it up to see if I can get to the site and
Okay. Are you going on Facebook or on the website?
on Facebook right now.
Okay.
I got get rid of some of the other junk that keeps popping up out of the way here. There we go. Harvey Archery. You got
Yeah.
pretty cool looking bows right on there. The red and
Yeah.
black
I
string.
like to use I like to use very unique type of woods, stuff that you can't just buy in like timber stores and um like at places where you buy lumber and that. I go look for a lot of the stuff myself.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you know, it's called burl, and it's basically like these big warts that grow off the side of the trees.
Oh yeah. Those are some really cool looking wood, those burls.
Yeah, so I'm always on the lookout for burls. So whenever I find, let's say I found it on like a farmer's land or something, I'll go ask them if I can cut the burl off, because if you cut the burl off, you're not really killing the tree. It's just like you're
No.
pruning off a branch. Um, and then what happens is I'll take that burl home and I'll have to leave it for 2 years before I can touch it, because it has to dry out
Right.
slowly. And then after it's like dried out for 2 years, it's not completely dry yet. And then I'll cut it up into the handle block sizes, a little bit oversized. And then I put them into an oven for a week. And then after that, they go into a stabilizing chamber where they get stabilized and submerged with a type of resin called cactus juice. And
Oh yeah,
that
I've
hardens
heard
it
of
and
that.
gives
I
it a lot
haven't
of
used it
strength.
yet, but
Okay.
well, I can share my screen for those that are um watching. Um, they can see your website here or your Facebook
Okay.
page, and
Yes.
you can see um some of your bows. We'll kind of go over here and got some really cool looking bows.
Yeah.
And if they
Yeah.
want to
That
go
one. That
out
one.
to your Facebook page, and then you can get a hold of you there, and then you know order and
Yeah.
hopefully.
They just send me a message, and it's basically done just through chatting. Um, so if someone wanted to order a bow from me, they would choose which model, because I have 3 or 4 different models of bows, different lengths and different shapes. And then they would get to choose all the woods, what's in the riser and the limbs. They get to choose what horn overlays, and all the horn overlays that I use are all African antelope. That one you see there, that's waterbuck. So you get to totally pick literally everything that's on the bow yourself.
That's pretty cool. Makes a definitely a unique one. Um, I had I did a podcast here about a week or so ago just on how to customize your archery equipment, and this is the place to start with. Is get a custom bow like this, and then make your strings and decorate them up, and I was talking about
Yeah,
make strings in different colors and shapes and styles and
yeah.
here
And you know
on
what I
one of these
found
bows,
is,
I think I would just go with just a plain string because you can't distract from them.
yeah. And what I've also found is that the American bow hunters, they are extremely good bow hunters, actually, because out of all the places in the world that buys bows from me, it's always the Americans that are seem to be the most successful in hunting. Um, I get pictures, especially during hunting season, I get pictures sent to me on a weekly basis of them, like with their deer they just shot, or So I've got a whole massive catalog full of hunting photos from the guys in America.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I kind of, you can't
Yeah,
describe this. Those that want to know what these bows look like, you're just going to have to get out to your page and look at them because they're just so cool.
yeah.
You can see all the little burls and
You
stuff
see,
that,
that's a bill there. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and
I could look at them all day long.
yeah,
Them are really cool looking bows.
yeah. And I think also why like a lot of people from overseas also like to buy them, not only because of their performance and their looks, is because I'm from South Africa. Our currency is called rands, and the rand to dollar, um, like our rand isn't too strong. But if people from overseas with stronger currencies buy, then they're not actually paying that much as opposed if they were going to order a bow from a bow maker in America, their prices are quite a lot higher.
It and the looks of these, you've got some unique ones that you're not going to get
Yeah,
over here.
and I'm also the materials I'm using is more expensive than some of the bows. You can also see I use a material called G10. That's that black line through the middle of the riser. That stuff's very, very expensive, but it basically makes the bow unbreakable. So you'll never have any issues.
Well, and it's worth it if you're gonna, spend the money for a bow. You want to, spend
Yeah,
get good quality, and if you
yeah,
want cheap, you can just go anywhere and buy cheap.
yeah, yeah. I put that G10 in every single bow I make, just so that I know that it will never, ever, ever give an issue.
That's good. That makes it, really nice.
Yeah.
About if you ordered one, about how long would it take for you to get one made?
It all depends on how my orders are going. But so to start off, they pay a deposit, which is quite a small deposit, and then it can take up to 8 to 16 weeks.
Well, it's made
Yeah,
after you order it, so it
yeah,
takes a while to put one of those together, and especially
yeah,
all the different laminations and
yeah. So what I do is like when you make a bow, you can't just start one and finish one. They go through curing processes as well. So like I could put a bow in the mold and then I have to wait for it before I can work on it again. So then I'll do like start on another one. So it's not just me building one and then when that one's finished, starting the next one. So when I can't do work on a bow because there's some curing time that's needed, then I'll start on like prepping other handle, other risers, preparing like tapers for other bows. So that's what allows me to earn an income from it. Because if you were just making one bow at a time, then start the next, then you would probably earn more money working for at like the McDonald's drive-through.
yeah,
Yeah,
wouldn't be as
because of all
much
the
fun,
time.
but
Yeah,
well, as you're laminating stuff, you laminate them, you glue them, you put them in the mold, and then you got to let them sit. And you can't take them out of
yes,
mold for a while. So, they
yeah,
might sit in there, I don't know, a day or two, or however long it takes
yeah,
for whatever the adhesive you're using to cure completely. And
yeah,
you can't do them all in one shot.
yeah, yeah. That's it exactly. And then also one of the nice thing is um, not everyone asks it, but a few of my customers, um, they've always wanted to come hunt in South Africa. So um, if you go look on the internet and you want to come hunt in South Africa, what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of prices that are on the internet for overseas client. Like they have them an overseas price list, and the overseas price list is very high. So, like I've got friends with game farms and that, and um, they don't really do game farming, hunting as their source of income. They like cattle farmers or sheep farmers, but they've got all the wildlife on their farms. So when people want to come hunt, I like recommend them to go to my friends or something, and then like the price is extremely much cheaper.
Because that's not the main thing they're doing, and you're just going and
Yes,
hunting on a farmer's land, and
yeah. And also it's nice with the bow hunters because they're not coming there with these big loud rifles and taking shots like near their cattle and scaring their cattle. So the bow's nice and quiet. The farmer doesn't even know they're there.
yeah, that's one nice thing about archery is you can be fairly quiet, and
Yeah.
when you can shoot your bow and nobody's going to know you shot it.
Yes. And another thing is I don't know if you've ever heard of it's a TV program on Discovery Channel. It's called Naked and Afraid.
Yeah,
So it was about 2 years ago. Because they do their challenges in different countries throughout the world. They've done some in Amazon, they've done in Mexico, they've done in South Africa, Botswana. So basically, they do these episodes in different parts of the world. And it was about 2 years ago. I got a phone call. It was almost like the person who was phoning me was in a bit of a panic. And they asked me if I had a longbow that was ready to sell immediately, like it was a stock bow. So I said, no, sorry, you're gonna have to like put in an order and wait a bit. And then they were like, oh damn, okay. And then the phone call was over, and I walked up to my workshop, and I forgot because I have like a rack in my workshop, where let's say I'm making a bow for a customer, and he wants 43 pounds at 28 inches. So now, if I don't get that poundage right for him, like if it comes out lower, then I have to just put that bow aside and start a new one for him.
yeah,
If the poundage comes out a little higher, that's great because I can always shave off the poundage and bring it down to what he wants, but not if it comes out lower. So I walked up to my workshop and then I just looked up at my rack and I was like, oh, actually, I do have a bow. So I phoned this person back and I said that I forgot that I had a bow here that is ready to go. And they were like, oh, thank you so much because this is for a TV show. So then I said, what TV show? And they said, Naked and Afraid. And now I've been watching this on a weekly basis because it was one of like my favorite programs to watch.
yeah,
And so it was them. And the thing is that they were coming to film an episode in South Africa. And there was two American contestants doing it. So they'd flown here. And the one person wanted to bring their longbow and it got caught up in customs. And because I don't know if they didn't have the right paperwork or something, but customs confiscated their bow because they were being silly. And that's why they wanted a bow from me. So I sent them my GPS location, and then the next day, the whole Discovery team was just arrived on my farm, and I invited them into my house and gave them coffee and handed them the bow. And then because I was being interested in Naked and Afraid so much, I started practicing making fire by rubbing sticks together.
oh
And I
yeah,
made all these videos. I made all these videos of me doing that, and I was showing them. And I said, you guys must get me onto Naked and Afraid because that's like one of my favorite programs to watch. So then they said, yeah, we'll see what we can do. And then a couple months went by, and I got a phone call, and they said we would like you to take part in one of our challenges on Naked and Afraid. So I took my bow with, and they put me in Zambia. And the lady that I went with, she was from Louisiana. and they put us on an island in the middle of the Zambezi River. And because I knew we were going to Zambia, but I didn't know we were going to be put on an island in the middle of the river. So on that island, there was literally no antelope. It was just birds, crocodiles, hippos, and elephants. There was not one warthog, not one impala, nothing. So I had my bow there, and I managed to shoot a guinea fowl, which is quite a big size game bird. It's like the size of a chicken.
Yeah.
And I shot 3 other smaller birds. So my bow definitely helped me to finish that challenge.
Yeah. And get you some meat.
Yeah.
On an island with no small game other than small birds or
Yeah.
crocodiles.
Yeah.
Yeah, crocodile would be a little more difficult with a bow, but
Yeah, definitely. I did try go after a crocodile, but they much more clever than I thought. I thought, you could like stalk them and try to get close to them, but they've got like eagle eyes. They see you and they just go underwater, and then they just disappear.
yeah, and you don't go in the water after them, do you?
No, no. But the crazy thing was, I actually did. I don't know why I did it, but I think because I was hungry. But this was on like day 16. I actually swam into the water to try catch a crocodile. It wasn't a very big one. It was probably about 4 or 5 feet. But it was still silly because in the river where I went after this one, we saw much bigger crocodiles in the same premises. So that was a little bit dumb of me, but I'll just blame it on the starvation.
Yeah, when you get hungry, do weird things, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, when did that episode air?
It aired last year. It's season 14, episode 4.
Season 14, episode 4. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, we'll have to check it out.
Yes. Yeah, you can watch it online. You can just search for it online and you can see it.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So that's quite a story that you got there of how you got on the show and what you did on there and how did you guys do? I haven't seen the episode yet, so
Okay. Yeah. So I'd say we did well because it's a 21-day challenge, and all you have to do is you have to make it to the 21 days, and then if you do that, then you've basically won the challenge. So we both got there and completed it. So it's a lot of teamwork. It's not a competition between you and your partner. You guys actually have to help each other survive till the end. But you're allowed to tap out whenever you want. So if you really, really don't want to be there, or if you're really, really suffering, you are allowed to tap out. But
you
then
didn't want to
they
tap
say
out.
a lot of people that tap out regret it immediately after they've had their first meal.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, why did I do this? Yeah.
Yeah,
And why did I do this when you start it, and why you do this when you quit early?
yeah. Because a lot of the people that go on it and they tap out, um, when people are watching at home, they don't realize how hard it actually is because of the starving part.
Right.
Like people can go like the whole morning and afternoon without eating, and they're complaining that they're hungry. But you go like 10 days without eating, then then you can complain. Don't complain after like a day of not having food. So like a lot of people do tap out, and when they do, they kind of get ridiculed by the fans that watch. They say, "Oh, that guy's a wussy, he couldn't make it." But it's actually 100 times more difficult than what you think when you're watching it.
Yeah, I can imagine, if you go, just
Yeah,
start a day without eating, you start getting hungry, and I can imagine, trying to find something to eat, and you're eating whatever you can.
yeah,
they put you on an island with
Yeah,
not a lot of food sources.
yeah. And at nighttime, the temperature was like freezing cold. So we had to have a fire running throughout the whole night. And then when you just fall asleep, then you get stung by a scorpion, or the fire would go out and you start shivering, then you have to make it again. So it was not one night that you had a solid night's sleep. Um, and then during the day, you're getting eaten by horseflies and it's very hot in the day, and you've got no pillow, no blanket, sleeping in the sand with bugs everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah, not a lot of fun, but for those that go through and make it, that's saying quite a bit to be able to go
yeah,
through and do all that. That's
yeah, yeah. So it wasn't fun at all, but looking back and knowing that you've accomplished it is like, then that makes it all worth it.
Yeah, I have to go through all that work and to get done. It's like it's an accomplishment that you can say you did and you enjoyed, and you think back on it, it's like, why'd I ever do that? And then you look at it and then say,
Yeah,
well, this is why, because it was actually,
yeah,
looking back, it was fun. While he was there, it probably wasn't much
yes,
fun.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And a lot of the like the bow hunting here in South Africa, what a lot of people like doing is literally just um, going with their archery equipment, uh, tents, and all their camping gear, and you go for like a weekend, long weekend, 3, 4 days at a time, um, and you just go into the bush, and while you're hunting, you exploring. So it's not only hunting, you're also doing a lot of exploring while you're walking and stalking. And there's like I don't know if you're familiar with a krantz. In South Africa, we call it a krantz. So it's like these big rock faces on the side of the mountains,
Yeah.
um, that have caves in and all that. And you go explore along those rock faces, and you find ancient Bushman paintings, and it's really like soul fulfilling. You feel good once you come home, like
Yeah.
recharged of nature.
A lot
Yeah,
of lot of cool stuff to see, when you in an area that's been inhabited for thousands of years.
yes,
So
yeah.
tell us about some of your hunts, maybe the most memorable hunt you've been on.
Okay. Um, I have two. Sorry. So I'm going to tell you about my mistake hunt. It was a mistake that became very successful.
Okay. I like
So
those kinds.
this was the time that I was in a bow blind. So I wasn't really used to sitting in blinds because um, I get like ants in my pants and I want to move around and I can't sit still for very long. So we were in this blind, and I was lucky enough to hunt for free because this one game farm wanted me to come hunt there, and in return I write them a story, and then that story was going to go into a magazine. So they just wanted to make sure I had a good time. They spoiled me with nice food and very nice accommodation, and then I would just have had to have write like a story of my weekend with them and how nice it was. So um, we sat in a blind, and so now everything's for free, right? Anything I want to shoot, and I had shot stuff like springbuck and impala, mountain reedbuck, because that's like the smaller type of antelope that isn't too expensive to hunt.
Yeah.
Um, but I wanted to go for, since it was free, I wanted to go for the bigger stuff, the more expensive stuff, the stuff that I hadn't got on my bucket list. So I wanted to go for a wildebeest, a wildebeest, and we got into the blind early morning, so the sun hadn't come up yet, and we got in there, and then the sun started coming up, and then in front of the blind there was just springbuck and impala and mountain reedbuck everywhere, and behind them, about 40, maybe 40 yards away, there were three wildebeest. And they seemed hesitant of coming close to the blind. They would like start walking towards it, and then they would think, oh no, something smells fishy here, and then they would walk back. And they were doing that literally the whole morning. We were waiting hours. And I could have easily taken a shot at the impala or the springbuck, because they were so close. They were literally maybe 10 to 12 yards away from my shooting position. And I started needing to go to the toilet. And you know, when you feel like you want to cough, but you can't cough loud, and then your throat gets scratchy.
Yeah.
And I started getting hungry, and I just wanted to now finish up in that blind, because we'd already been there for like 4 or 5 hours waiting for these wildebeest that were 40 yards just lying under a tree there now. So I said to the guy that was in the blind with me, okay, let me just go for this impala right here. And then I'm sure all the archers listening on this this podcast are aware of that feeling you get called buck fever, where you get so excited, your nerves start shaking, and you start shaking, and you don't really know what you're doing, because it's just the nerves are too much because of the excitement. So that somehow kicked into me, and I pulled the bow back, and I didn't even aim yet. And I think it must have been the nerves. So I pulled the bow back, and I just let the string go, and I wasn't even aiming. And then I got it on video as well. So the arrow went under the chest, just under, like from a side angle. It went just under the chest of the impala, and then the arrow bounced off a stone, and then it went like literally like this, and it went right into like the perfect shot placement into that wildebeest that was 40 yards behind it. And then it was, yeah, like a perfect through the chest lung shot, and it stood up, and it didn't know what happened, because it was lying down, like probably having a rest, and then it ran about 30 to 40 yards, and it fell over. And so that's why I say that was like one of my most memorable, because I wasn't aiming at the wildebeest, but I wanted the wildebeest so badly, and I ended up getting it at the end of the day.
That is pretty cool. Yeah,
yeah.
take a terrible shot and get a better one out of the deal.
Yeah. And then I think after that, it boosted my confidence, because we were there for a few days, and everything else was perfect shots. And then my second most memorable hunt, it was actually on my farm. There's a type of antelope here. It's called a bushbuck, and I don't know if you've heard of a bushbuck.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Okay, so bushbuck, they don't stay in herds. They like solitary animals. Especially the males, they like to be on their own, and they're very elusive. Some people call them ghosts, because they're very difficult to find. They like the thick vegetation. We're very dense bush, and then every now and then they'll come out in the late afternoons into a field or something open. And they're very difficult to get close to as well. They're very switched on animals, very clever. So the one day I was just on my balcony, and we got this farm, we look over into the valley, and I saw a bushbuck come out into the field. So I grabbed my bow, and I wasn't even wearing camo. I was just wearing a normal, like army colored green t-shirt and a pair of shorts. And I just said to myself, let's take the bow, and I'm just going to go for a walk. I'm not going to go for a hunt. I'm just going to go for a walk, and I'm just going to see how close I can get to that bushbuck. And from about maybe 150 yards away, it must have seen me or smelt me, and it ran straight into the thick bush. So now I said to myself, like, it was a thin strip of thick bush. It was basically like a dried up river type of bush. So there wasn't any water, but it was like a channel of bush that was growing in like a dry riverbed. So I said to myself, okay, well, I'm going to go for even more of a walk now. But I'm not going for this bushbuck, but if I get close to it, then that's a bonus. So I walked, let's say the bushbuck went in this way. I backtracked all the way around to the other side of the bush where it went in this side. So I came in from this side. And the bush was so thick, and there were all these thorns that catch onto your clothes. And they started just like tearing my clothes, and then I was like making so much noise that I said to myself, I even started speaking out loud now. I even said a few swear words because of these thorns. So I just like wanted now to just make my way through this bush so I could go home, because I was stuck in all these thorns and that. And then a couple meters ahead of me, I saw this like body lying down. So immediately, my first thing was I thought maybe it was like a big stone, but then I had like a closer look, and I saw it had hair on it. And they say the bushbuck are known to do this. If something's chasing them, they'll go run into thick bush and they will lie down and hide. So this thing was literally maybe 10 or 12 yards in front of me, lying down, and it thought that I couldn't see it. And it was so quick. Well, I just picked up my bow and I saw it, the shoulder area, and I didn't even have time to get buck fever or anything. It was just so quick, and I pulled up. I saw my arrow point onto the shoulder, and I shot it, and that was also that was probably my like most memorable, like successful hunts, because it was a very elusive animal, and like the circumstances of that chance happening was ourselves at like the right day, right time at the right day to get it.
Yeah, that is pretty lucky when you go out and do
Yeah,
that. You know, sometimes
yeah,
they they like to think they're hidden because they can't see you, so they don't figure you can see them, but then they leave their vitals open.
yes, yes, yeah. And I tried many times for a bushbuck. Probably like for 3 years, I tried getting close to bushbuck, and that one was like the least effort, because I was making so much noise, and yeah,
Yeah. Well, if you'd been sneaking in, you'd probably been running off because it'd have figured that's something different, but you probably just figured it's
yeah,
some animal crashing through the brush.
yeah. And another thing, what a lot of like the older generation bow hunters in South Africa, they started learning this trick, and they've started passing on this knowledge to the new bow hunters. So when they're doing a walk and stalk, and they get close to an animal, and let's say the animal senses that you're there, it either hears you, or it sees movement or something like that, then they almost stop, and they stare right at you. And then it won't last too long before they run away. So what they taught us was, when you get to that stage, and it's sensed that you're there, you start picking the grass, like just ripping out grass, or pulling leaves off of bushes. And I've tried it myself, and I now do it all the time because it works. It works 90% of the time. The animal that's noticed you when you start picking up, like pulling grass out the ground. It actually sounds like another animal eating grass or pulling out leaves. So then what they do is, almost all of the time they carry on doing what they were doing, because it sounds like you know, like a cow or another animal that's pulling out the grass. It makes that same sound as if they're
Yeah.
eating. So if any guys that are listening to this want to try that, they must definitely give it a go.
That's
Because I'll say, like, if the animal does sense you and you just try to stay still, most of the time they'll just watch you for a couple seconds and then they're gone. Anyway, so you got nothing to lose by just trying that technique out.
yeah, that is something. I hadn't even thought about that and heard about that. So yeah, I learned something
Yeah.
new.
Yeah, a lot of guys do that now here in South Africa because it works so well.
Just bend down and start picking up some grass, pulling
Yeah,
some
just
grass
just
out,
go
or
down go
pulling some
down on your
leaves.
knees and start pulling out grass. And the animal thinks that you also browsing and eating.
That that is
Yeah,
kind of a cool little trick to know it. Get out in a situation, I'll just bend down and start pulling some grass or pulling some leaves, and
yeah,
don't stand still.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you kind of told us about your challenging hunt when you was on Naked and Afraid. That is a challenging hunt there when you're hungry and you got to get some food. It's not like now
yeah,
you go hunt if you don't get something. Well, okay, next time. But you know
yeah,
that
yeah.
is
If
a
you don't
challenge
get
where
something,
you're going to starve to death or eat.
yeah, yeah. And then there was also these very tall trees there, and they had these berries in, but it was those very strange type trees where you get the tree trunk and it goes up like 20 or 30 yards before there's branches. So it's not like a tree you can really climb because there's no branches to hold on. The branches only start way at the top of the tree. And at the top of the tree were these berries that were very sweet and edible. Um, and they were quite big as well. And there's a bird called a hornbill, and they would go up into the tree and start eating these berries, but they would drop a lot of them. And then we would sit and wait at the bottom of the tree for these berries to fall. So we had we had a couple berries every day. So it helped a little bit with getting a bit of sugar into the system.
Yeah, that's where the birds are up there dropping your food.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
yeah,
come drop more food.
yeah.
So
And then the other birds that I shot, um, they were called wagtails. So they're very small birds, and they never sit still. So if you see one on a branch, then it's like a second later, and then he's on another branch, then another branch, then another branch. So those were quite difficult to shoot, but I managed to get three of them. Um, but at the same time, they were so small that when you take the feathers off, it looked like the meat of it was like the size of a golf ball, and I had to cut that in half and share half with my partner.
yeah, one bite.
Yeah, one bite each.
Yeah, well, it's better no bites, right?
Yeah.
So
Um,
you were making fire with just rubbing sticks together. Is that how you started your fires?
I was doing that here at home, because you have to use certain types of woods, and I started trying a lot of the different woods that we have on the farm here, and I eventually found like matching pairs that worked, because you can't just use any wood. And from where I live to where we were in Zambia, the terrain and the trees is completely different. Because we're like 2,500 miles distance. So the every tree and plant that they have here, we don't have here at home. So my partner, that girl that was from Louisiana, she bought a flint as one of her survival items because
Oh,
we
yeah.
were allowed to choose one survival item each, and she had bought a flint, so we didn't have too much trouble starting fires.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you had the bow, she
and it
had the
was
flint.
also yeah, and it was also very dry there, so the grass was very, very dry. You just hit it with one spark, and it's like boom, fire.
That's
And
it.
then a lot of people had their like suspicions about Naked and Afraid. Like, is it really real? Do they really not give you any food? Do you really sleep alone by yourself at night time? Because there were some speculations. People think when the cameras go off, you go sleep in a tent, or if you're really hungry, they'll give you energy bar. So when I went on there, I actually asked one of the cameramen to please give me an energy bar, and they, by law, they're not allowed talking to you. If they talk to you, they can get fired from their job. So you can't even ask them what day it is. We had to mark in the tree like a notch, so we wouldn't forget how many days we were there. So if you had to try speak to a cameraman, ask them for anything, they just totally ignore you. And then another thing is I lost 13 kgs, which is about 30 pounds. And I have a before and after picture. And then, like, if some people tell me, like, was it really, or ask me, was it really real? All I do is I say, okay, this is how I looked like before I went on. And then this is how I look like after. I didn't even have to, like, say anything because the proof is in how much weight I lost.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see,
Yeah.
even through the show, that's just in 21 days.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of weight to lose.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just clearing my throat.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
talking for a
do
while,
you
kind of get that way.
do you do hunting with the compound bow, or have you tried with traditional bows as well?
I do compound bow. I don't
Okay.
spend the time it takes to get good enough with my recurve that I want to hunt
Okay.
with.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'm lucky to get enough practice in with the compound.
Yes, I understand. Yeah. I found um a lot of the guys that eventually spend a lot of time with the compound bows, and they become so good at it that they want to have a little bit of a harder challenge. And then they say, okay, let me try hunting with a traditional bow. And that's where, like, a lot of my customers that order bows from me have previously been guys who shoot with a compound bow, and they felt like um, they've they've been very successful with the compound, and they just want a little bit of a harder challenge. And then they start going into the traditional side. Um, so there's quite a lot of people that do that.
Yeah, I've talked to a few archers that have done that. They would do the compounds and then they started shooting their traditional equipment and haven't looked back and actually
Yeah,
even sold all their compound stuff because they just want to do the other stuff and it's so much
yeah,
fun. And I know there's a
yeah,
a lot of archers out there that shoot traditional equipment and shoot it very well.
yeah. Some guys can get really good.
Yes, sometimes better than the person standing next to them shooting
Yeah,
a compound.
yeah. And also a lot of um, I get a lot of questions from compound archers. Let's say someone is a compound bow shooter and they're wanting to move to traditional with the compound bow, because when you pull the string all the way back to your full draw length, you get that let off where it's now easy to hold the bow, easy to hold your draw because of the cams.
Right.
Um, and normally they have quite high poundage compound bows, because at the end then it all eases off and it's easy to hold. So like some of the guys are shooting with like 80-pound compound bows, and then they would want to order a traditional bow and they would say, I also wanted 80 pounds. And then I have to try persuade them
Yeah.
to change that because there's no let off. And I'll try to talk them into going into a lower poundage. And then also there's a lot of confusion with the killing power, because now you're going from a compound bow, which is high poundage and faster than a traditional bow. And now I'm telling you to go lower poundage on a traditional bow, which shoots a bit slower. So the difference is in the traditional bow, we always recommend going lower poundage to around like most of my clients that have been hunting a long time with traditional bows, they all in the poundage range of between 42 pounds to 55 pounds. Not many guys are shooting higher poundage than that. And the difference is in the arrows and the broadheads that we use. So the compound bow arrows are normally generally lighter in mass weight than the traditional arrows. And also, I'm just saying, most guys in the compound arrows are using either mechanical blade broadheads or 3-blade broadheads, stuff that needs a lot more kinetic energy to pass through an animal. And the traditional guys are using kind of heavy double blade, razor sharp broadheads. And I get a lot of pictures from guys that have 42-pound bows, and they're getting pass-throughs on the animals that they shoot with a 42-pound.
Yeah,
It's just
good
the whole
heavy
difference is in the
and
arrow.
shot placement is going to do it for you.
Yeah, the whole difference is in the arrow setup.
Yeah, I know my first deer I shot was 52 pounds out of my compound. I had I think it was probably 2117s with 145 grain broadhead at 4-blade muzzy on it with feathers.
Okay.
And I was 40 yards away, about 20 feet up in the tree, and that deer turned around, and I think my fletching stopped it from going through.
Okay, nice.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah. And now that I hunt at 70 pounds with a little bit lighter arrow, but
Yes.
it's I don't shoot that in my recurve. My recurve's I think it's 40 or 45 pounds. I think it's 40 pounds.
Yeah.
And like you said, you're not going to shoot the same way because you can't hold it
Yes.
back.
Yeah. And then that, yeah, the heavier poundage on the traditional bow just completely affects your accuracy. And then that's actually the most important part, is your accuracy and your shot placement.
Yeah, and if you got too much bow, like on recurve, I've seen guys pull back and they kind of have their hand not even all the way back. They can't pull it all the
Yes.
way back. And it's like, why are you stopping up here? You're inconsistent. Pull it back, get that in
Yes.
front of your mouth or below your chin or wherever you're going to anchor. Get back to that
Yes.
consistent anchor. And it's like you need, you need to drop down to weight or different
Yeah.
techniques so you can get it back all the way.
Yeah. I'm always trying to uh, people that order high poundage bows from me, I'm always trying to talk them down to around the 50s. Because I had a guy order a 68 poundage bow, and I asked him, "Are you dead sure? Are you dead sure you want 68 pounds?" And then they're like, no, they're positive, they want it. They've shot 68-pound bows before and it's easy for them. And then I was like, okay, I'll do it. And then the next day I was just like, are you really sure? And they were like, no, I'm positive. So I made the bow, sent it off. He almost got a hernia trying to put the string on the bow. And and he couldn't pull it back further than like 12 inches. And he said, can I please send it back so you can reduce the poundage?
You told him that
Yeah.
it just cost him extra
I,
now.
I told you. I told you, now you're making me do extra work.
But you know, you
Yeah,
can reduce, like you said earlier, you can reduce the draw weight. You can't increase it, but
yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah. So it depends on which one of my models. On most of them, I can shave off about 6 pounds. 6 to 8 pounds, I can shave off. You don't want to do any more than that.
yeah,
Yeah.
on 68, yeah, you get it down to 60. That's still quite a bit of a bow for recurve.
Yes. And then also I've had to become quite good with shipping. So I've had to get import licenses, export licenses,
Yeah.
because I'm sending bows overseas all the time. Which is quite surprising now. Is I've sent bows to America and the UK, and they get there very fast. The quickest I've had one arrive is 4 days.
Oh, that's quick.
Yeah, all the way from South Africa to America to the guy's doorstep in 4 days.
It takes me that long sometimes to get stuff shipped from the East Coast to the middle Midwest.
Yeah, yeah. And then also what I do for my customers is when I send them the bow, because they now paid me a small deposit to start the bow, and then when the bow's finished, then they pay the remainder on the invoice that I send with the bow in the box. That is the amount um, that customs or VAT duties will 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 like charge you, like import duties or
Right.
customs fees. Or so the deposit is so small that when the bow arrives, 90% of the time you don't have to pay anything. And if by some small chance someone has to pay, it'll only be a certain percentage of like $50, which is it saves a lot of money for the customers, instead of them receiving something and then the full price is written on the invoice, and then you get hit with a huge customs or tax.
Yeah.
So I rather like to save their money, and then they can go buy extra arrows or a glove or something to shoot with.
Yeah, had a guy come over from I think it's Ireland and order a bow from me.
Yeah.
And he was saying it's like
Okay.
25% tax on the
Yeah.
equipment. And he come over and he bought it and I worked on it. I had to make some changes because it wasn't his draw length. So
Okay.
I had to get some new cams, new limb, or not new cams, but new cams. And then I made him new string for the right length of the string. And then I was going to ship it back to him. And then it was warranty repair is what I wrote down on there. Because he'd already bought it. He already paid taxes over here. And then he had somebody
Yes.
coming over and they hadn't carried it back.
Okay.
So it's like I didn't even ship it over to him. They're
Yeah.
carrying it back. So how did they know that it wasn't already their bow?
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
So like, hey, save you some money. Don't pay that
Yeah.
25% tax on it. That's you
Yeah.
pay quite a bit for the bow and then come in and had to wait for a while because I'm waiting for stuff. I think originally I don't remember what I got. I got part of it in. I think I got the cams in, and then I'm waiting for the strings. Which I'm just gonna make him some strings, and it was kind of a
Yeah.
maroon bow. So I made him a string with silver and mountainberry, which is kind of a maroon color. And so I
Okay.
made the string because I had to make a new string, but I made cables for it as well because they had to match.
Yes.
So in
Yeah.
this case, he got the old cams for the other length and the strings and cables for it. And, of course,
Oh, nice.
a lot of manufacturers don't put good quality strings on anyway, but
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I just see now my battery's on 10%. So
oh yeah.
I don't know if anyone there's wanting to know any other questions or something, I've got about 10 minutes left.
Yeah, I don't have any questions right now, but
Okay.
um I yeah, I'll put a link to your Facebook group, to your page in the description.
Okay.
So if they want to get a hold of you, they can get a hold of you.
Okay.
Any other links that we need, we can put in there as well. And
Okay.
we'll just see if we can get you some more bows sold over here.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
And I know where I'm going to go when I get ready to get me a custom a recurve, because those
Yes.
are
Yeah.
really nice looking bows. It'd be nice having a really cool looking one, because I don't know too many. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody with one that nice of as your bows are.
Yeah. And I think the thing that speaks well about it is my customer reviews. I've got a review page on Facebook. Also, whenever I send a bow to someone who's ordered from me for the first time, because a lot of the guys that order from me, most of the time they buy more bows, and one guy's got 14 of my
Oh,
bows because he likes them so much, so he wants one of each model, and then one of each model in different words, one of each model in different poundages. And then he's got these racks on his walls where when he's not using them, they're kind of on display in his house, which is a nice wall feature.
yeah, yeah, it is.
Um, and a lot of the traditional archers in America that have been doing archery for a few decades, um, there's a lot of great bow makers in America, and also mass-produced bows, like for instance Martin Archery, Black Widow. Those are like the Black Widow bows, very, very expensive bows. And a lot of the people that have ordered from me the first time have a collection of all these other bows that are some of the top rated bows in America. And they all tell me that they're going to now sell their Black Widow bows or sell the other bows and then start so they can order more of mine. And then all these reviews, I screenshot them and I put them in a folder so that people can see that it's not just me saying I'm good. There's like the customer feedback, which is nice to read.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get some people interested in it, and I know we've got a lot of people listen to the podcasts, and not just on Spotify, but on Audible,
Yeah.
and I think Apple Podcasts has them. I think there's a Google podcast that goes out to, but uh,
Okay.
yeah, it's um, quite well distributed around, and we'll get some going. But it's been really really great talking with you. I learned a
Yeah.
lot about bow making and um, the TV show Naked and Afraid. And I watch a little.
Okay.
I don't watch it as much as what you did, but my wife watches it more than I do, so I'm doing other things.
Okay.
But um, yeah,
Yeah.
I watched a few of them. We'll have to get that one. That was what season 8, 18.
Which one? My one.
Yeah, yours.
It was season 14, episode 4.
14 and 4. Okay. I'll
Yeah,
have to,
14 and 4.
remember that. 14 and 4.
Okay.
I write it down so I won't forget it.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
I
And
have to
then
write things down so I remember them.
yeah, and then just one more thing is that I remembered. Um, my mother had, since we were in preschool, she had kept like journals like of all our paintings we did in school and all the drawings we did in school from when we were very, very young, like preschool. And she's got this big kist. and she's got my brother's all his artwork from when he was a kid growing up, and my other brother and my sister, and they all drew a whole bunch of different things, like a variety of things, like flowers, mountains, bicycles, cars. And from when I was 3 years old, all the way up, every single picture I drew in school was of bow and arrows. And I've I've got them I've got them all in my mom's hidden kist.
That's pretty good. Your whole
So you
collection
can
is bow
see
and arrows.
you can see it's been a lifelong obsession.
Yeah, yeah, it has been. That's kind of cool that, as a kid,
Yeah.
you're so interested in archery that, now you made it a career.
It becomes your full-time job.
Yeah. And
Um,
it's got to be a lot of fun doing it.
yeah, and then the nice thing is, um, because I'm also a wood addict. Um, you never get the same piece of wood that looks the same. So, um, and also when you're working with the wood when it's rough, you can kind of see the grain, like the shape and the pattern. But when you get to the end of that bow, when it's fine sanded and you put the finish on, then you just see that grain just explode
Oh yeah.
in color and all that. That's quite rewarding.
I do a lot of woodworking as well, and I'll make duck calls and deer calls and stuff like that on the lathe and other things. And when I start in a duck call or a deer call, I'll stick it on, get it round, turn the
Yeah,
parts in and neat, and I'll look at it and say, what design do you want to be? Because each wood
yeah,
is like I might have a design in my head, and I turn it around and it's like, no, that ain't gonna work. So
yeah,
each wood is, and you can take two pieces of wood, they're going to look different.
yeah. Two pieces of wood, the same species of tree, but they'll look different.
And even right next to each other, you can take a piece and cut it in half, and one half don't look like the other when you get them done.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's nice about working with wood is it's no
That
two
is,
pieces are identical.
yeah. And also the thing with me is during the daytime, I prep a lot of the materials. Um, like I'll get things ready, and then I go back home because my workshop's not far from my house, and then I'll spend a bit of time with the family, um, put the baby to bed, and spend some time with the wife, and then when everyone goes to sleep, that's when that's when I wake up. Um, I'm kind of like a night owl, because the time for me right now is actually 10 minutes past 2 a.m.
Oh,
and
that is late for
and
you.
it's not yeah, but it's not even my bedtime yet. I normally go to bed at 4 a.m. because I work in the nighttime. And I find that because it's peaceful, there's no noise, I get to concentrate, and also because I'm working with epoxy, and during the days here in South Africa, it's too warm, and while I'm mixing the epoxy is all cured on heat basis. So if it's very hot, the epoxy sets too quickly. Whereas when it's nighttime, it cools down a bit, and I get more time before that epoxy sets. So I get more than enough time to spread it everywhere I need, and it doesn't set as quickly as it would in the daytime. So it just makes it like less stressful. If I had to do it in the day, then I'd be rushing.
Yeah, and then take the hot part of the day and sleep. Be awake
Yeah,
for the cool
well,
part.
I go do things during the day. Um, then I get to bed at about 4 a.m. and then I'll try wake up at about 10 in the morning. Um, so it's like a lot of people, like my friends, will say, "Yo, you sleep late." So, and then I say to them, "Well, I've had less sleep than what you have because I've gone to bed at 4 a.m."
Yeah. Now 6 hours is enough.
Yeah, yeah,
That's plenty enough. Any more than that, and wake up hurting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did have one comment from Janice said,
Okay.
"Smart mom to do that. Enjoy the memories." Yeah,
Sorry, what did she say?
smart mom to do that, to save all your pictures and stuff, and then
Yes, yes,
instead enjoy the memories.
yes. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I'll tell my mum that you've complimented her.
Yeah, yeah, she's very smart to save all that stuff.
Yeah. My mom's gonna watch this, so
Oh, okay. Well, say hi to your
I'll
mom then.
I will, yeah.
Yeah, hi mom.
Yeah, she'll watch this tomorrow.
Okay, that'll be good. Yeah, just
Yeah.
in the group we can watch. It's available now, and then it'll come out on the YouTube channel. I think next Tuesday.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
just have her go in a group and she can listen to it there. Um,
Okay.
so that probably the quickest way to see it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, cool. And I just want to say, yeah, thanks for the podcast and for all the people that's listening and that's going to listen. Thank you for listening. Um, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I like a lot of stories, and it's really interesting talking with you today. And I'm
Yes.
sure we'll talk again later. I'm sure of that sometime, and
Yeah.
we'll just catch everybody on the next one. So once again, my name is Roy Canterbury. I've been your host on Arch Talk 101 podcast. This is I think number 154. So we have a few of them coming out. Um, enjoy them. Make sure you join the Arch Talk 101 Facebook group. There you get to see them when they come out. Or you can catch them on my YouTube channel, Learn to Fix It Yourself, and any place podcasts are distributed, as well as on Audible. So make sure you catch them out and catch the next episode, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for being on the show, Warrick.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah,
everything. Take care.
yeah. We'll see you later.